Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, bringing to you today a brand new video series on the channel that is going to be alongside the Road to 1000 Dueling Book Rating series as an ongoing series, and that's going to be called Cheap Competitive Contenders, or CCC for short. And with this new series, I'm also going to be presenting to you guys a brand new video schedule, so you guys can expect to see some more consistent regular content on the channel, which is very exciting for me. But I'm also very excited for this series in general, simply because I feel that it, one, is a lot different from the rest of the content on my channel so far. It's going to be formatted differently, it's going to be edited differently, and overall I think it's just going to be very, very refreshing and new. And also, I think that it's going to be new in terms of being sort of an unexplored niche in the Yu-Gi tubing sphere, which I think is pretty exciting. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive on in. Okay, so this series is generally speaking going to be me featuring a variety of budget options with a multitude of price ranges that you guys can take to regionals or other competitive events, but primarily regionals, and get your WCQ invite or even a top 8 if you perform well. And I do think these decks will all be very capable depending on how the meta shifts, which will be a very, very good resource hopefully to both assess where the meta is at as well as the different rogue options that are available. I'll also be basically taking the deck on Dueling Book. I'll be showing you guys the deck list as well as the individual price breakdown, and I'll be testing it against other players in rated so you guys can get a feel for how the decks stack up and shape up against the current meta at the time. Additionally, it's a chance for me to be informative and entertaining since I'll be diversifying the content significantly. I'll be featuring decks that I am familiar with and other decks that I just have very little idea of how to play, but I'll be learning as we go. So it's going to be a chance for us to learn together, which I think is super exciting. And new episodes for this series will be every other week, and the reason for that is that these videos are actually going to be quite heavily edited in the way that I'll be presenting them, so you guys can expect, a bit of a regular series, but not necessarily a weekly one, which I think is actually good considering that, we need time for the meta to evolve anyways in order for this series to be as effective as possible. So that's going to be the basic premise of this series. So the very first question that I'm sure many of you guys are wondering is what exactly qualifies as a cheap deck, or what kind of decks can you guys expect to see in this series? And the decks that will be featured will fall under the 3 price ranges that I am listing here. Now these are all going to be in US dollars and will all be accounting for the main, extra, and side deck combined. Basically, they're going to be in the video title as the number of dollar signs to denote these price ranges, and you can expect that in the description as well as in the video itself that these deck lists will also have accompanying information on how much each individual card breaks down price wise as well as the total for the deck in general. Additionally, while these price ranges might seem a bit expensive to, maybe people who are newer to the competitive scene, I think that it's actually pretty reasonable because there is a lot of overlap as far as stables are concerned, particularly with the side deck. So basically, if you build a side deck for a given format or even a bunch of formats that might be a little similar, you can actually use the same cards across a variety of decks, which is pretty useful to many people. And I think that even a lot of main deck cards like hand traps and such can be used across different archetypes or across similar styles of decks, which I think brings down the cost in the long run by quite a bit. And these decks are, at the end of the day, designed to be competitive. They're designed to do well at, particularly, again, the regional level. So we are trying to actually compete with Tier 1, Tier 2, and other rogue decks of our similar caliber. So very, very important to keep that in mind. Finally, these prices will be according to tcgplayer.com. I am aware that there are other online options. eBay comes to mind, as well as Card Market for European players, and there's a variety of other websites as well. But I'm going to be using TCG Player as I think it is a solid baseline average as far as what one can expect general price ranges to fall under. And there will be card breakdowns in the video on screen as far as the time of recording those videos, but in the description as well there will be an API based calculator for yugiaprices.com, so you guys can just click the link in the description and click the button that is appropriate for showcasing the price breakdowns, and no matter when you stumble upon any given video, if you want to build it, basically you can just see how much the price is in terms of the accurate time range, which is pretty useful, I feel, for a lot of people in this series. So the way that these decks will be selected is actually going to be via my Twitter, which I actually haven't been super active on, but that will change starting right now because I do intend on using it to use the poll features so that you guys can actually have an input on what decks are selected, which is super awesome. And the Twitter will be in the link of the description of every video, so you guys will basically have about a couple of days the week prior to the new episodes that are going to be released to be able to vote on which deck will be selected. I'll have a couple of options, but you guys can also, of course, comment if you guys want to see a particular deck that I did not list, and we will basically go off of what people want to see, which is, you know, super awesome for interacting with you guys. In addition, the decks will generally be tier 2 and rogue decks. You might see the odd meta or tier 1 deck as a budget variant, but for the most part, I don't want to play suboptimal cards, I just want to play budget options. And what I mean by this is that these decks are going to essentially, with the exception of like super expensive staples, are going to be equipped to do as well as they are designed to do in the current competitive environment, which means that you're not going to be playing with omitting certain key cards, like for example, like omitting Signet Mining from Salamangreat, but rather we're just going to be playing with the cards that are given to us as far as the cards that fall within our price ranges, which is super awesome. And I think that a combination of budget options as well as topping deck lists that have proven to do well, as well as just sort of my own personal input if I'm familiar with the decks at all, or maybe some advice from friends or, you know, other peers of that I have access to, will be considered when making the deck lists. So they will be, of course, you know, used with some empirics in mind, as I always tend to do. And once a deck is selected for the series, it won't be featured again for at least two more episodes, because I want A, room for other decks to be in the series, and B, enough room for the meta to actually shift enough to warrant changes in each deck. This is supposed to be a series that can present to you guys a multitude of options for you guys to be able to play at your competitive events. Alright, so the way these episodes are going to break down is essentially I'll be showcasing the deck list on screen, as well as the results of the Twitter polls, so you guys can have an idea of like what other people were voting for if you guys want to vote a different way for the next episode. In addition, like I mentioned earlier, there will be the individual card prices as well as the total deck price, both on the screen as well as in the description, so you guys can access it at your leisure for whatever time you might be stumbling across the video, or if you want to reference it at a later point. In addition, as far as the competitive valuation of these decks is concerned, I think that doing book rated is probably the best option we have available to us, so we will be utilizing that. And so far as not to interfere with the Road to 1000 Dueling Book rating series that will be concurrent with this one, I will be using an alternate account. As you can see on the screen, it's just called Emanon Gamer account. Very inconspicuous there. But essentially, it's going to be 10 games of Dueling Book rated, of course, excluding disconnects and stuff, just so that we have a generally good idea of where the decks will stand against other decks you might see. Because at like regionals and stuff, you can come across a wide variety of decks. You can come across meta and rogue, so I think it's important to be able to stand against both of them, as well as the fact that, again, it's not a perfect translation of competitive real-life tournaments, but I do think as an indicator it is pretty good as far as the tools we have available to us. So we'll be taking advantage of Dueling Book for this series. And also, unlike Road to 1000, the footage will actually be of live gameplay commentary. So it's going to be me in the moment making decisions. It's going to allow you guys to see my thought process. And the footage will be very edited because we don't want these videos to be like 30-minute matches times 10. So we don't want these to be 5-hour long videos or anything like that. And because of this, I will also be featuring a separate video where you guys will actually be able to see the full thought process and full matches if you really want to like watch a lot of just footage in general of me playing games for whatever reason. But I will try and keep the actual, you know, real episodes, so to speak, on the shorter side of things. Well, shorter and right is relative, of course, but I don't want these videos to drag on for a super long time because that's not going to be very digestible for you guys to watch at home. But yeah, instead of retroactive insight, you guys can actually just see my thoughts in the moment. I'll be making mistakes, I'll be making good plays, and I generally comment them as things go, but yeah, hopefully it'll allow you guys to be a little bit more entertained than just the standard same old, sort of looking back and analyzing things that I do in my Road to 1000 series, because again, I want to shake things up. I want to be a little bit more diverse. I want to branch out a little bit more on this channel, and I think this is a very excellent avenue to do so. Okay, so that brings us to the upcoming video schedule for you guys, which I think will be pretty manageable on my end as well as entertaining for you guys. So on Mondays and Fridays, there will be a new Road to 1000 dueling book rating episode. And the reasoning behind this is that it is much simpler to produce these types of videos for me. I'm able to sort of get a lot of games in on my own time whenever I'm free, and I don't have to do a ton of intensive editing. There is a little bit of editing that goes in, but generally speaking, it's just me sort of providing analysis post-dueling commentary so that you guys can sort of have, just my thoughts kind of explored at the end, sort of, open-ended, which I think is pretty conducive to making videos more often. Conversely, I think that this series, the CCC series, will have to be every other week because essentially it will take a long time for me to kind of look through, sift all the footage, and sort of compile the videos together as far as the most important clips and the most entertaining ones as well. So that'll take some time, but there will also be, again, the full bonus footage that you guys can see if you want to watch all the duels in succession, if you have a lot of time on your hands to just binge watch. So to fill the gaps, every other Wednesday, the ones that I'm not doing CCC will be sort of analysis or discussion videos, this type of video where I kind of present things on screen and sort of talk about it with a semi-scripted manner. And on Sundays, or realistically just any other day of the week to be honest, will be random uploads, which could be deck profiles, regional reports, college tutorials, etc. Just anything that I feel like uploading if I, want to at the time, or things that don't really slot into any of the other video styles. So those will likely be on Sundays, simply because Sunday is a day that is after regionals, so I could do meta discussions as well, or other things like that. But again, these could be on any day that I'm not already uploading other videos. So again, I think that this is a pretty manageable schedule, and I think that you guys will hopefully enjoy the ride. So with that, I want to thank you guys again for watching this video. Feel free to, once again, as always, leave feedback. Constructive criticism is always appreciated. I very much, thank you guys for watching. You guys have been very supportive of me recently, and I'm very excited to be taking YouTube a lot more seriously. I'm very, very much kind of diving into it and getting my hands dirty, right? So feel free to hit the like button if you did enjoy this video. It really does help me out. If you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button if you want to see videos similar to this style of video and are excited for the new CCC series. I think that is going to be pretty awesome as far as offering something new to the table. And once again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys!